I want to share 3 reality checks that every independent artist, every music creator is going to face at some point in their career. And hopefully you learn how to deal with it early on. I had to make sure that I really, in any endeavor, you have to make sure you really enjoy the process, because if you're not enjoying the process, what's all this for? You're gonna have to do this process over and over again, and you're gonna do it hundreds of times without any hand claps, without any accolades. You're gonna do this process over and over again. Steve Jobs said it best: you better love what you do, because you're just gonna have to do it a lot and be better than anyone. And the only way to get better than everyone else is to do it all day, every day. Loving the process is key, because the money and fame may never come. That's the honest truth. The money, the fame, and all the things that you want outside of the joy of making music may never come. You have to be in the frame of mind that you'd be doing this even if you weren't getting paid. Really better love making music, because you're gonna have to make a lot of it time and time again, with no yays, with no yada boys, with no you got this, with no support, with no help, with no money, with no hand claps. If you're an independent artist, you know how hard it is to make a name for yourself. It's a constant hustle, and if you don't love what you're doing, then it's easy to get burnt and lose motivation. I've been down that road many times. There's peaks, there's valleys. It's really key to learn how to get yourself out of valleys faster than enjoying the peaks, because it's easy to get stuck in the valleys of this industry. If you enjoy just the process of making music, learning new things, learning new ways, getting better at creating your craft, creating your songs, then this is something really for you. Then everything else is a bonus. The fame and money that may come with the success is great, but it's not the only reward. Just like Steve Jobs didn't achieve all he achieved just for the fame and money. I mean, the reason that he was able to do what he was able to do was he was so passionate, and he had just such a drive for the creative process and an unwavering vision to see his vision come to life. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. If he was only in it for the money, we wouldn't have seen groundbreaking products like iPods, iPhones. It was his love for technology and design that pushed him to create innovative products that changed the world. It's the passion and dedication that sets you apart from everyone else. If you're in this for the money and the fame, it's gonna run dry really fast. Not everyone's gonna like your music. Your music is not gonna be for everyone. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as everybody loving NSYNC, but NSYNC sold billions, quadrillions of records. But it wasn't for everybody. That's another hard truth that I had to discover early on in my career. And when you're young and you just think you're just a badass and you think everyone's gonna love this, it's even if it is amazing, not everyone's gonna love it. We gotta face that early on in our career. It can be difficult to take criticism, especially when it's about something as personal as our music. But learning to take criticism early and accept that not everyone will love your music is an essential part of being a successful music creator. Even if it feels good to you, it's not going to feel good to everybody. And once we realize that early in our career, it will help us moving forward. I always say this: at the end of the day, the market will decide if your music is good or not. The market, meaning the general public, not your friends, not your family, Spotify listeners, Apple listeners that don't know who you are. They will judge if your music is good. They will judge if your music is for them. We have to be okay with that. The market will decide where your music falls. You're going to be put into a box. Your music's going to be put into a box. Your image will be put into a box. Everything will be put into a box and categorized by the market. And that's okay. You can keep changing where you think you're supposed to go. Ultimately, the market will decide if it's good or not. You might think your music is the greatest thing ever, and we all do, and we should, but if no one's buying or streaming it, then it's not resonating with people, or something's wrong with your marketing, or something's wrong with your imaging. Something's going on. Yeah, this can be a hard pill to swallow, but it's important to accept that the market is the ultimate judge of our music success. So we have to find that balance of what feels good to us. We may have to tweak things here and there just to find our way in the market. We go to the market to buy a tomato. We expect certain things of a tomato. So if somebody's coming to, let's say myself as an artist, they're expecting a certain thing. And if I jump out of the box and do something different, some of the fans will come along with it. But this is not to say you should change your style or sound to please the masses. But there is a balance of figuring out what market you fall into. You know, if you come out with a smooth jazz song one day and then the next day you're out with a huge R&B song, it's hard for a new artist, especially it's hard for a new artist to fall into a category. It's hard for the algorithms, it's hard for YouTube, it's hard for the streaming platforms to figure out who you are. You have to really hone in on who you are so they can present your art to the prospective listener. And this takes time. This is another thing. This takes a lot of time. Of course, authenticity is the most important thing in music, and you should always stay true to yourself and your creative vision. But it's important to be open to feedback and be willing to make changes to your music and brand based on what the market is telling you. But staying true to what you love can prove to be the best. Bjork in the 90s, experimental music combining elements of electronic, pop, and classical music, it wasn't a thing back then, and it wasn't really widely embraced by mainstream audiences. But her creative vision and willingness to take risks where her music eventually led to critical acclaim. I mean, she became a superstar, huge fan base, and Bjork's albums like Post and Homogenic are now considered landmarks of experimental music. So obviously you have to step out of the box to make a name for yourself. But you have to understand that in the beginning, the market doesn't lie, and some people are not going to like your music, or they're not going to understand your story or understand where you're coming from yet. And this is the hard part, because we've seen it time and time again that, you know, we remember that genius work always starts with people ridiculing it, being critical of it, not understanding it. Many iconic musicians were initially criticized and ridiculed for their music. David Bowie, Nirvana, Madonna. It seems normal now, but when they were first coming out with what they were doing, people didn't get it, and they were criticized heavily. And now they're considered geniuses. But as they continue to push boundaries and create new sounds, their music eventually gained widespread recognition, became pop, it became the thing. Kind of when hip hop came out, it was, what's this stuff? This is going away. Hip hop is now the main vein of basically all top 40 music. You find hip hop in country, you find hip hop in jazz, so it always starts that way. It's definitely not uncommon for, you know, groundbreaking artists and superstar things to be initially met with confusion and even hostility. You remember when sampling first came out, people are like, what is this? You're just copying stuff, and how is this gonna be something? And now sampling is a work of art. It's used in so many songs, and it's considered another instrument. And that's kind of what is happening with AI. It's being ridiculed, but AI is going to be implemented into music the exact same way that sampling has been. This means for us as independent musicians, we have to be willing to take risks and not be discouraged by that initial criticism, because it's coming. People aren't going to like it. People aren't going to like what you're doing. You know, if you're that artist that plays the accordion and fusing it with hip hop beats, with a harp and a spoken word poet, that's different, and most people probably won't like it, but you stick with it and you're authentic and it's good, people gravitate, people start to like it. Taking criticism is never easy, but it's an important part of growing as an artist, as a music creator. And even if not everyone loves your music, there'll always be people who connect with it. There'll always be that one or two fans that you really resonated with, and they write you and they say, you know, this song helped me through a breakup, this song helped me through a divorce, this helped me through a death in the family. And you know, I get those time to time, and man, those are the ones that you're like, this is why I do this, this is why I make music. That's the deepest connection that you can have with another person and the universe with your music. As with your music as a tool, I'm telling you, it's the most amazing. I'm sure a lot of you have felt this, and if you haven't, when you get your first one, it's you'll be searching for that feeling time and time again. There's always going to be people that don't like your music, or don't like you, don't like the way you look, don't like your image, don't like, you know, whatever. But if there's 2 or 3 people out of each 10, you're good. Those are the ones that you're making all this music for. These are the ones that you're trying to connect with. Building a fan base will take time and effort and consistency. If you have not read the essay by Mr. Kelly, Kevin Kelly, it's called 1,000 True Fans. I encourage you, kk.org. It is pretty much a blueprint for how important it is to just focus on growing a small fan base. And that's all you need to be a successful musician. 1,000 true fans will change your life. You know, we don't need 10 million fans. We don't need 10 million followers to be making a living. There's a whole nother video I'm gonna make on this, but I encourage you to go explore the 1,000 True Fans essay, and it will give you a lot of hope and knowledge and the blueprint to how we can make this happen for ourselves as independent artists. It's easy to assume that success in the music industry is all about talent, but it's not always the case. Even the most talented musicians, I know so many, they struggle to get noticed without putting in the work to build their fan base. And we just have to understand, and that was a reality check for me, but we got to put in the work, and to build a fan base organically and to do it correctly and to get those 1,000 true fans, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of consistency, but we have to just learn to stick with it. Sometimes the things you need to do to build a fan base can be uncomfortable or cringy. There's a lot of things, like me getting in front of this camera is not something that I do on a daily basis or did before maybe 2-3 years ago. It's still very cringy for me, but I understand that this is one of the best ways for me to connect with you. This is one of the best ways for me to build a fan base. This is one of the best ways for me to share that I'm making music, that I'm building art, that I want to put myself out there. Would I rather just be sitting in the bedroom making music? Probably, but we've all been there, or you're gonna be there. That's a reality check that you have to have. These things might not be what you envisioned when you started making music, but they are necessary steps towards building a fan base. I'm uncomfortable with this all the time. You know, self-promotion can feel uncomfortable for a lot of us. And it's always been, you know, I'm part Asian. It's like against our culture to be that confident and just talk about what you're doing, and it's just not in our culture to do that. And even, you know, my parents were the same way. We didn't talk about what we're working on, what we're doing. But in this industry, we have to talk about, hey, I'm working on this song. I have an EP coming out. I hope you check it out, please. Something that I think you might like. And it's hard for a lot of us to do that. But if we don't promote our music, who will? Unless you're signed to a label, unless you're signed, you know, have a PR, blah, blah, blah. Even at that though, you still need to self-promote. You still need to be out there talking about yourself, talking about your music. And I know that's hard for a lot of us. We need to learn how to market ourselves, how to talk to industry professionals, how to collaborate with other artists. We need to learn how to do that. And the faster, the better. Let me tell you, the journey is all worth it, because when you finally make it, when you connect with fans, when you see your music making a difference in people's lives, there's no better feeling. And that's what we are all doing this for, right? All right, guys, I appreciate you making it this far, and I'm so excited to build this community out, all things music. And until I see you in the next video, be safe, take care, peace.